Hello and welcome to another episode of SMEFocus, brought to you by FactoryNOW TV. I'm your host, Chris Greenough, and in this series we will focus on SMEs in the UK manufacturing sector. Every week we will discuss and analyse the opportunities and challenges facing the industry in these unprecedented times. I have worked in the sector for over 26 years. I am CCO at SDE Technology, one of the leading manufacturers of metal pressings and assemblies in the UK. As you can hopefully appreciate, this show is very much for manufacturers by manufacturers. My guest today is Sarah Black-Smith, Head of Operations at Siemens. Hello, Sarah, how are you?
Hello, yeah, I'm well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Fantastic, and nice to see you and nice to hear from you as well. So tell me about Siemens, about your role within the organisation. So what do you do?
Yeah, so I'm part of Siemens Digital Industries, which is it's mainly focused around hardware and software solutions that deliver productivity for manufacturers. So I work in a factory that we have in Congleton, in East Cheshire, and we're about 30 minutes south of Manchester, and we're a company that's probably quite small compared to the rest of Siemens, but we're about 450 people in Congleton. And my role is head of factory operations. So I'm responsible for production of variable speed drives, which is what we manufacture in Congleton. And looking after production, looking after all the manufacturing, engineering teams and the maintenance team. So yeah, that's the scope, my scope in Congleton. So very much operational in the role, but also strategic as well for on the management team. So yeah,
very busy, a very varied role, I guess.
Yes, yeah, plenty always going on. Yeah, anyone in an operational role will know.
So with the COVID restrictions that took force earlier in the year, end of March, how have you and your team kept working closely together, given that many of your team, I guess, have been remote working or working from home?
Yeah, so we've got a split. So we've obviously got a lot of shop floor employees and teams here, and a lot of the engineering teams are on rotation, so still very much coming into the office to support. And yet there's a lot of people working from home, as I'm sure is the case in many businesses. So we've tried to tailor it around the two groups really. So from a shop floor point of view, we're not able to, what we used to do is have recorded team briefs, and that would go out to everybody in meeting rooms. We're not able to gather people together anymore, unfortunately. No. So we've very much gone to a newsletter style. So just one A4 sheet, keeping the messaging really simple. And when it was back in, the original lockdown, we were doing those daily. So just keeping, as much communication out there and trying to clarify what was going on as much as we knew at the time. Yeah. And then DAC'd that down. So we're down to weekly now for the newsletters that go out. But people on the teams on the shop floor really like that style now. So we're just gonna keep that. It's a quick, easy, simple way of getting the messaging out, and everybody has their own copy then, so obviously you're not having to share anything. And then from an office point of view, we've gone so we've effectively got the newsletter that goes out to everybody, but it's mainly for the shop floor. And then we do a leadership video every week as well. So I host them, and then we'll, it'll be a different topic each week. So we've, we're on our 26th now. But they work quite well as well. We just do them on Teams. So normally IT or customer services, or we varied it around what people would be interested in, ask for input into what people are also interested in. And then from a social side, we've done virtual pub crawls on a Friday afternoon / evening, again on Teams. And we ended up having to have 2 pubs because we had quite a lot of people. So we've done a couple of those, which have been quite cool. Virtual quizzes, I'm sure lots of people have tried those. The team meetings, so most people have team two team meetings a week. I mean, but it is a challenge. Like, that's one of the feedbacks that we've had around how do we keep the Congleton culture, because that, you know, a lot of people who've worked here, you know, long serving, there's lots of family generations of families work here, and everyone's, you know, it's quite tight knit. So that's probably one of our challenges going into, you know, certainly the next 6 months of everybody working from home, that how do we keep that culture going? And probably not as challenging with the people who've always worked here, but if we have new people starting you know, we've got placement students or anything like that, it's sort of how do we keep that going? So that's definitely on our radar. We've not bottomed that out. But
so how important is it? How important is it that you really take your people along with you on the journey, and how do you and the rest of the management team maintain the energy and the enthusiasm that requires to keep everyone on board?
I mean, it's absolutely critical for us. So people, you know, anyone that comes to Congleton, it's normally about the people. That's what the main thing that they take away, and how, you know, we have got a really good culture here, where people do take, you know, really good ownership of and they really care about manufacturing being in the UK, but manufacturing specifically being in Congleton. You know, we want to remain competitive, and we want the work to be here in Congleton. So, I mean, for us as a management team, it's really key. So we ensure that, well, every time I'm normally on site, and I rotate with the head of the quality department, health and safety. So we make sure that we walk the shop twice a day for our shop floor teams, so we can gain feedback and, you know, understand if there are any topics. So I'll normally be in the morning at about 7, walk round, and then similarly in the afternoon shift. And then last week we came in for the night shift. So we'll do a monthly walk around in terms of with the MD, Andrew Peters, and with the head of finance, Andrea Jones. So they'll do that monthly, and I came in with them last week to do that. But certainly I'll be on the shop floor at least 3 times a week, and then my colleague will do the same. And again, we cover all the shifts to make sure that we're constantly engaging with everybody. We've got an employee consultative committee, so we've got about 4 representatives covering all the areas from the shop floor that join Andrew in the boardroom, because we're able to space everyone out enough and have all the windows open out, and everyone else joins on Teams. So those happen quarterly to make sure, again, that we're getting feedback. But I suppose it's not about relying on a quarterly meeting. It's about getting feedback all the time. So one of the things that we've introduced is like a mood indicator for people in who are working from home. So it's dead simple. Like, you know, you're either feeling great, you know, good, not so good, you know, bad. And people can put any comments that they want, and it's anonymous, and then the management team, so we'll be looking at those and trying to figure out, you know, gain, you know, a sort of a picture of what the mood is of people who are working from home. But it's just another mechanism, I suppose, to keep people engaged and make sure that we're, you know, asking for feedback. You know, people might not necessarily want to do anything more other than vent sometimes, which is also fine. And I suppose it's all about being open and honest. So we also communicate every day at the moment about the status of any potential COVID cases that we've got, or if somebody does test positive. You know, we've only had 3, and, you know, touch wood, hopefully we don't have any more. So we do a daily email at the moment of keeping people updated on the status of, not with names obviously or anything, but people want that information. They want to know what's going on. So although sometimes I feel like it's overkill on my part, because I always seem to be emailing everybody, site emails, and they must be sick of me, but the feedback is that people want that information, so we keep doing it. And keep asking for feedback, really.
It's about engaging with the team and just making sure that everyone is still fit and capable and still getting the support they need, which is, I know Siemens do that really well. Now, the push for technology and the move to digitization is ever increasing in speed. Why do you feel it's important that we maintain the speed and we push to this sort of digital revolution?
Well, I mean, for us, and I think in the UK, it's all about productivity. So if we're going to be competitive, which we are always competing in, just to keep work in Congleton for within our factory network, but to do that, we need to be competitive. So our lever for remaining competitive is increasing our productivity. Now, there's the continuous improvement, like small stepped improvement that we've got to keep as a base, that we need to keep doing that. But what I think digitalization, automation, robotics enables us to do is to make stepped improvements in productivity. So so for me, it's all about remaining competitive, and I think that certainly over the last 5 years has been, we've seen a massive shift from traditional lean improvements to now with the advent of robotics and automation, and I think it's all about upskilling the people that you've got, not necessarily onboarding a whole load of new people, to be able to take you on that journey. The other really important thing that I think that we did was critical was, I mentioned at the start, when you're in an operational role, it's challenging to take time out to think strategically, probably, or to think further ahead. So we took people out of the day-to-day business, specifically looking at digital tools and looking at automation, basically looking at anything that we weren't looking at, because everybody was so focused on operationally getting the output and getting the day-to-day job done that they weren't taking the time out to think about what we weren't looking at. Which I know, like, some people might be listening and thinking, oh yeah, Siemens is massive, they're able to do that. We're actually quite a small business within the Siemens family.
The Siemens
group. And so I think there's always a challenge. I think it's if you want to take that next step, I think you have to take a little bit of pain. And it wasn't like we got a load more new people. I had to take on somebody else's job to enable him to be freed up, my colleague Andy Lowe, to be freed up to start looking at different things. So I suppose it's about working together to try and do the right thing for the business. But that certainly was the catalyst, I think, for us on this journey.
And you said about upskilling your existing staff, but I know that Siemens do a lot with the younger generation. So how can we further engage and infuse the next generation of engineers to show that manufacturing is actually a real career choice and a really exciting place to be?
Yeah, I think well, the ventilator challenge is probably one that we can showcase, that getting involved in massive challenges that really serve society, and answer some really big challenges where engineers were the ones that stepped up. Manufacturers were the ones that stepped up to that challenge to answer the government's call. Let's think about it. Yeah, okay, it's not a great situation in terms of the fact that we needed them, but it's engineers at the end of the day that answer challenges, the big challenges, and really serve society. So I think let's showcase that. Let's showcase different businesses that turned around their businesses to support with PPE, to support with manufacturing, hand sanitizer, masks, and also about all, we talked about digitalization, about robotics and automation. They're really exciting. Let's show people that actually manufacturing is cutting edge in this country. We're leading the way. We're innovative thinkers. We need to do a bit more in terms of actually monetizing that and being the ones that really take advantage of all those fantastic ideas that we have in the UK. But there's loads of companies where, and I think we just need to start sharing that best practice even more than we have been doing. Okay, it might be on Teams now, but fine. We've seen, like, I was on the Manufacturing Institute conference last week, and they did a brilliant job of using the new platforms where it would have been in real life. So there's more and more companies, like the manufacturer have got one coming up in November, encouraging people to go onto those, to share stories, to share best practice. and and get in touch, and because we do a lot of we did a lot of sharing our journey. We're in the process of trying to do a virtual tour so that we can still do that for people and share the knowledge and share the learning that we've had over the last 5 or 6 years. So yeah.
Good to hear. Your enthusiasm is fantastic, Sarah, and thank you for your time today. Really great to talk to you, great to see you, and we'll catch up soon.
No, thanks for having me.
Thank you. That brings us to the end of another show. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to meeting more of our brilliant SME manufacturers next week. If you'd like to get in touch with the show with a comment, a suggestion, or even to appear on a future episode, please email us tv@mtd.media. That's it for another show. So from me, Chris G at SDE, goodbye. See you soon.